people sort of turning their heads a little bit on this one. The leader of the Catholic Church suggesting that the Lord's Prayer, the best known prayer in Christianity, which is prayed by not thousands, as I said earlier, but 2.2 billion people around the world.
Okay, so you heard the woman speak. She said that Pope Francis is talking about changing the Lord's Prayer because this goofy goober thinks "lead us not into temptation" is contrary to the nature of God. What he is suggesting is that we change the words to what does it say? He suggests that we change "lead us not into temptation" to "do not let us fall into temptation." Excuse me, I'm a little bit distracted by my son here. So what he's saying is that God does not lead us into temptation, so it's pointless to say "lead us not into temptation." But there's a difference between not temptations are going to come for everyone. The Bible tells us that. All right, God doesn't have to lead you into temptation. Temptations are going to come. So there's nothing wrong with Jesus Christ praying to his Father. I just noticed this ad over here, Lily, the scarlet woman over there named Lily or Lilith. Man, this stuff keeps popping up everywhere. So there's nothing wrong here. I'll even go to the scripture here. In James, it says, "Blessed is a man that endureth temptation." James 1 verse 12. "For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to give them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man." So God is not going to bring sin your way to see if you are going to fall into that sin or not. But Jesus Christ saying "lead us not into temptation" is not suggesting that unless you pray that, God is going to lead you into temptation. He's already not going to do it. It's really common sense. I don't think anybody has ever read this prayer and thought that it meant that God would lead us into temptation. Like I said, this Pope is a goofy goober, and I know what it is, because the difference is when you say "don't let me fall into temptation," you're actually saying to God, or asking God not to let you sin. But that actually takes away your free will. You have the free will choice to sin. But he would take that away if he was to not allow you to fall into that temptation if you wanted to. Now I'm going to let you hear I just can't believe this popped up over there, Lily. Anyway, I'm going to let you hear more of this interview here.
May undergo a little bit of an edit. He says the phrase "lead us not into temptation" suggests that God induces temptation in his followers, and "do not let us fall into temptation" would be more acceptable and closer to the original meaning of the prayer. So who better to sort this out for us than our good friend Father Jonathan Morris, Fox News religion correspondent.
Thanks,
good to
Martha.
see you, Father
Thank
Jonathan. So I still have a hard time with consubstantial, so I'm a little bit reluctant to change. What's the meaning
What he's saying is not, I want to change the words of Jesus. Nobody can change the words of Jesus. Jesus existed. Jesus was a historical figure. He said the words of the Our Father not in English, but in Aramaic. And the best translation we have of the Our Father is the Greek. And then that Greek was translated into so many different languages. And those translations are very different. In English, it says, "lead us not into temptation." But guess what? Jesus didn't speak English. And it's really kind of bad theology, as well as even in the Italian. But, for example, in the Spanish, it says, "no nos dejes caer." In other words, don't let us fall into temptation, if that makes sense. He's saying that the translation isn't very good because God never makes us fall or never leads us into temptation. He actually allows us to be tempted, but we have to make a choice. Does that make sense?
I think so. The Pope is obviously from Argentina, so you know, in his experience, it didn't sound the way it sounds now that he, you know, is dealing with the English language more. I mean, I guess my question is, why did it take so long? If this is wrong, if it doesn't line up with theology, why did it take?
Well, think of it. We pray this all the time. 2.2 billion Christians pray this all the time, and we don't think that God is the one forcing us into temptation. We understand that he allows us to be tempted, but I think all evangelicals, Catholics, mainline Protestant Christians would say God does not lead us into temptation. It's a bad translation, honestly.
So that guy says that it is a bad translation. Well, let's look at all these other translations, which are really actually bad translations of the Bible. Not even the New International Version, the NIV, has changed that first part. And lead us not into temptation. As weird as the NIV is, even that doesn't say something like that. Now the New Living Translation does say something more similar to what Pope Francis is asking. And don't let us yield to temptation. But once again, that is removing your free will. Lead us not into temptation. English Standard Version gets it right. Lead us not into temptation. Berean Study Bible gets it right. Most of these translations, well, Holman gets it wrong. Let's see what the Jesuit Bible says. The Dewey Raines Bible. And lead us not into temptation. Even that one gets it right. So, yeah, the Pope is just, like I said, he's goofy. He wants to get his name taken out of the book. Well, I'm not even about to get into that. I was about to say it might not be in there already, but I personally believe everybody's name is in the book of life until the day they breathe their last breath, and then that is when God either blots it out or leaves it in the book. Another thing that happens today, it's been a year already. I'm kind of surprised by that. They do this every year around the same time. They go to this tall, like just tall as crap statue of Mary, and they have what's called the homage to the statue of the Immaculate Conception. And I thought maybe I wasn't going to cover this again this year because, you know, I've done it in the past, but, you know, it's just that time of year again. So let me mute that. But yeah, I mean, they have her standing on the orb there, the earth. But you should just see, if any of you, if this is your first time seeing this, if you never knew what this thing was, this statue is tall. I mean, it is really, really tall. It is high and lifted up. That's the best word I can think to describe it. It is high and lifted up. And just look at some of these things around it. So, and another thing, the Catholics claim that they don't worship Mary. There we go. There's a good shot. Look how tall that is. It's over buildings. And at the base of it, you have Moses and some other, I guess you call them patriarchs. To me, they probably represent the four elements, and she would be the fifth element. So, but anyway, you Catholics cannot say that they don't worship Mary. This is insane. Where's Jesus at? You know, where's Jesus? Where's well, you wouldn't put an image. You're not supposed to have an image of Jesus or the Father anyway. But you're especially not to bow down to them. That's the main thing about having images. You're especially not to bow yourself down and pray to those images. And let's see, what are the Catholics doing again? Yep, they're bowing down. Yep, the word says you're not supposed to bow down to these images. But we all know who she is. She's Lucifer. And it's right out there in the open for everybody to see. But not many people see it because they don't know who she is. They think, oh, why are they worshiping Mary? Why are they worshiping Jesus' mom? That's not Jesus' mom. That's an imposter. And these poor people, my heart really goes out to these people because I really do feel like these people love God, they love who they think God is, but they're actually worshiping Baal, because if it's not God, if it's not the true God, it's Baal. All right. So what we have here in the Catholic Trinity is nothing more than Baal and Ashtoreth. And Ashtoreth is Venus, Lucifer, and her son, the Sun, is Tammuz. And no, Tammuz is not the son of Nimrod. It's not in the Bible. I don't know where people get that from. Oh, I mean, actually, I do know where to get it from. They get it from Alexander Hislop, but he made that up. So, yep, another year, another, what do you call it? Idolatrous ceremony to the Queen of Heaven, Mother of the Gods, Mother of Abominations, Lucifer. So thanks for watching, and Jesus bless you.
Are you hearing this, friends? They are in this together, okay? Pope Francis is very warm and cozy, promoting, behind, supporting the United Religions Initiative. Okay, so if you recall from my last video, One World Religion is Here, I pointed out an article that was from, it was called an Interfaith Report from COG Interfaith Report. And at first, I didn't know what it was. It was just talking about the affiliation between Pope Francis and the United Religions Initiative. And I said I wasn't sure what the site was. I thought, was that Church of God? I didn't know. But then I noticed at the end of the article that the writer was all for Pope Francis and just he was the greatest Christian. And isn't it interesting how the term Christian is, the world now believes that it applies to Catholicism? It absolutely does not. It is not a Christian faith. It is a false doctrine. However, when I researched that more, I thought, I want to know what this website is, the COG Interfaith Report. So I clicked on the COG logo or About Us, and guess what I saw? Click. The Covenant of the Goddess is what COG stands for. This is an organization that is very involved. It's the largest witches coven, I think, in the world. I don't know, but you can research that. Very involved in the United Religions Initiative. And if you click on some of these things down here, you can see all of the pentagram, the satanic things. I mean, I got chills when I clicked this and saw that this is who's in bed, no pun intended, with the whore of the Mystery Babylon. This is really, really bad, folks.